You're listening to the Practical Wealth Show with Curtis May.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So today I have Encore. I brought her back, Miss Sabrina Brooks, my client friend. So let's talk about public adjusting, why they should, because my thing was, it was all in my mind, it always seemed so random, but I guess a lot of people have a lot of claims, but what should they be reviewing, thinking about? So I want you to talk about, because she's like one of the things why she's so good at it and successful, because she is legitimately a product expert. Like she can read contracts like y'all read Harlequin romances or whatever. Knows them, knows what they say, because it's a contract,
I love this definitely got me very, very interested in contracts and
our system is based on contract law. You know what I mean? Our whole system, that's why America has grown, because it was based on private property rights. And then you've got to have contracts that can be enforced.
That can be enforced.
That can be enforced. And so you've got to know what they say, because if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. And
exactly.
I was doing a call. I do a call on Saturday. And we talk about, matter of fact, one of your guys was on a call, and I said, well, I'll try to get people get an idea of what really they're offering, right? And the main thing that you're offering is advocacy. That's actually the result that, you're same thing with attorneys. You're really in the advocacy business. Somebody, hires agent, you're selling advocacy, somebody to represent them, to protect them and look out for their interests.
Exactly. So a public adjuster is an advocate who holds your hand, really is fighting for your best interests when you have a property insurance claim. It is the same concept throughout all the examples. If you were going to court, you wouldn't say, well, I'm going to let the other person's lawyer represent me. You would never say that. And most people would not even show up to court without their own lawyer. Most people would not try to represent themselves. If someone has a lawyer and they're suing you, or you're in some sort of legal battle, you would want to be on an even playing field with your opponent. And the insurance industry has done a really good job of making you feel like you're part of their family. They have great characters like Flo, the little blonde kid with Progressive. I like Jesse from Progressive. Right. I love his story. They have athletes and celebrities like State Farm. They have the guy with the deep voice for Allstate. They have the gecko lizard. They have all these characters to make you feel like you're going to be taken care of. They care about you. And that couldn't be further from the truth. These are publicly traded companies. These are companies that are sponsoring huge sports events and stadiums and have all this money to advertise during the Super Bowl. They only collect your premiums, and they pay the premiums out. So they collect your premiums, they invest them to try to multiply them, and then they pay them out. But how are they making, how is each insurance company a multi-billion-dollar business? Like, how do they make such high returns for their shareholders? Their shareholders are their family, not you, not the people paying the premiums. It's the shareholders, and they have to maximize shareholder value. That's what
they're beholden to their shareholder. That's why we use in the life insurance business, why I only use mutual companies.
And that's why I advocate for mutual companies as well.
Yeah.
So without
we're owners. Right. We're owners, and we're, all of our interests are aligned. Keep going.
Exactly. All of our interests you want to align your interests. That's why when you hire a public adjuster, our interests are aligned, because I charge a contingency fee. The more money I get you, the more money I make. It's not like a flat fee where it's like, okay, well, whatever. I got my $500. That, that's all I'm into.
Right.
I really, I'm a hustler. So if I have a claim and I have a lead and I've found coverage, then I go into pitbull mode. I call it the layers of the claim negotiation. I have to walk my clients through, because sometimes it looks like I might not be doing anything, but it's 10 years of experience led me to, okay, be really nice at the appointment and see what they're going to give me. Mm-hmm. I usually have an estimate, but sometimes I realize having a really high estimate and a really strong estimate scares insurance companies out of coverage. Mm-hmm. They will find a reason to deny the claim just because they see, oh, well, you're asking for $25,000 and I was only going to give you $5,000. So I'm just going to find a way to deny it. And if you want to, you can sue us. And in a year or two, you'll probably win, but it'll be a year or two. And you'll have attorney fees along.
Right. You're out of money.
And you're still living with the house.
He who reaches for their wallet first loses.
Right. Exactly. Right? So I don't want to I hate sending claims to litigation unless I see that the insurance companies were acting egregious, but I still want them to pay as much as they can pay. And then we turn around and still sue them anyway. But this is like a game of cat and mouse. Insurance is really a game of chess. When the insurance adjuster comes, people fall into this, I call it the reasonable self. They think, if I'm reasonable with this insurance adjuster and I tell them, no, I'm not, you don't have to pay for that, I'm not even worried about that. Or they say these crazy things. Like some of my clients, I can't, like, you cannot be in the room. You cannot come with us because you're going to say something and you're going to screw it up and I'm going to be upset. Because you hired me to do a job and then you backdoored me and messed it all up. Like, let me worry about what not to worry about. People will worry about the cracks in their foundation, in the concrete steps you have. They'll want to file a claim for that. That's not covered. But if I find something that is covered, stop talking about the concrete steps and trying to pull the adjuster believe me when I say your concrete steps are not covered unless like a tree fell on them, and they're still going to try to say it was wear and tear. Mm-hmm. But let me use my strategy that I constantly enhance. I constantly compare against what other people in the industry are doing. I'm constantly going to new events. Don't come around and try to be reasonable. The referral that you gave me in Upper Darby,
yeah.
Some people really are their own best advocate. And if you seem like you're a good advocate and you're very savvy and you want to go at this alone, that's fine. But if I feel like you're a really reasonable person and you tell me a few times like, oh yeah, I don't care about that, or I'm not even worried about that, you need me to worry about it for you, and you need me to advocate for these things for you, because at the end of the day, it's all a pot of money. Right. Like there's four pots of money within your insurance policy that I have the ability to go after. Let me worry about that, getting the check, and then you worry about how you're going to spend it and what your priorities are in replacing or remediating your items, your property. But sometimes the things people aren't worried about are the most high value parts of their claim.
Wow.
And they're worried about, stuff that's not covered. Like, and I see it because they keep bringing me back, like, to the concrete steps. Like, well, I
can see that I probably do that, or I actually can envision what you're talking about. So did that
it is natural
person without naming names? You're still in process with that? How?
Yeah, I'm still in the middle of the process. It's going to be a very, very large claim, but there were some key components. There was a tree that fell onto a 2-story garage. Yeah. And that was the main thing they're worried about, my 2-story garage. It was filled with contents. And I love contents in a claim. I love contents because there's no mortgage company attached. So it allows me to get you some money that I know will process very quickly, because when the mortgage company is put as a payee on the check, what do they like to do? They like to force everyone who's listed on the check to endorse their name so they could deposit it into their escrow account for as long as possible. They don't want to let go of that money. It's in their account. It's earning interest.
Right.
So they're actually reimbursing you You pay the insurance policy, you hire someone to negotiate your claim, you get this really, really good settlement, and then the mortgage company gets involved. And I hate mortgage companies because I'm trying to develop a much better process. But that is a problem with the claim. But if I could get the contents money, you can use the contents money to begin making repairs so that we can force the mortgage company to release the money. And then replacing the contents is actually the last step of the process. But it's another pot of money that's more easily accessible, that will help move everything along. So that's when I look at a claim, I'm looking at a lot of different things, but that will be a good claim. And then he had water coming into his home, and he's like, yeah, I'm not worried about this. Like, let me worry about what we're worried about.
How are you not worried about that? Please. Okay.
So that's an interesting.
And I know what you're talking about. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He would have shot himself in the foot.
With reasonableness. And I know it because I recently had an insurance claim in my house, and I know I don't tell them I'm a public adjuster. I only would advertise I'm a public adjuster if I'm representing someone.
Right.
But insurance adjusters as a whole don't like public adjusters for the most part. So I did not.
They're not trying to. This guy told me that he was with such and such for 20 years. Well, you weren't with this company for 20 years if you were advocating for the claimant, right? Because your job is to not to save the insurance company money.
Exactly. That's the job of the insurance adjuster. And I've gone through trainings with different insurance adjusters. And matter of fact, I'm in a lot of the different internal public adjusting groups on Facebook. So someone just posted a picture, like insurance claims are paid based on line items. The more line items you have, the more your claim will be. So you could walk into a room and just put drywall patch paint and walk out. And technically that's right. But you could also go into that same room and have drywall patch, insulation replacement, clean and seal the studs, paint the walls, seal the walls, paint the openings, detach the fan, clean the floor, put floor protection down, detach the smoke detector. There's a lot of line items that you could add. And which estimate is right? They're both right, because an estimate is just an opinion. So this post, someone posted a picture where the insurance company was paying for 0.5 half of a dump truck to remove debris. And I get that all the time. And she's like, I've never seen this before. How are they paying for a half? And I said, well, just ask the adjuster. Are they paying for the front half of the dump truck or the back half? And try and get them laughing. But that's the absurdity.
Right.
That you're supposed to be indemnified by your policy. There's no dump truck company who's going to be like, oh, you only got paid for half a dump truck? Sure. I'll send the back half. Like, it doesn't work like that. So there's all these little things that they are trained. So someone jumped on and said, I worked for a national company for 15 years. And I remember we would go into the training and they would be like, pay for a fourth of a dump truck, which is 0.25, or half of a dump truck, which is, and there's the arguments there. There's a ton of arguments. You're forcing me to incur costs to save your billion-dollar company money.
Right, but I'm paying premium for 25 years. I never had a claim. And people feel they wear that like a badge of honor, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, ma'am, and I'm sorry, sir, but you sound stupid. You've been paying for insurance for 25 years. I know for a fact you've had an insurance claim because the national average is every 3 years a home sustains a claim. Now, I'm sure the national average is not every 3 years the average person files the claim because people are so afraid of their insurance company. Like, I don't know if they think well, you know what? That's funny. So what should they do? Because I want them to.
I want them to call me so I can find out the nonsense claims, because sometimes what people think is a good claim in a lot of instances is not, and what people would never think about filing as a claim are some of the best claims.
Tell them. So we're going to put these in the show notes, but where would they do to do that? How would you know?
My website is transitioning. The best way The easiest and most streamlined, and this process will get better. I will have a page for intake eventually on my website. I do have a website. I kind of threw it up there and left it like a pet child at the mall.
Right.
The most streamlined way would be to text me a photo of your deck page and some photos of the damage you're concerned about. And usually
say hi first, and then hi Sabrina, this is
hi, this is such and such. I heard you on Practical Wealth. I know Curtis. I do have random people who text me weird. And if you send me a picture of a toilet overflowing, I don't take it personally. I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's a great claim. Category 3 water. We love toilet overflows.
Okay.
I kind of use the insurance policy because people need money and people have valuable claims sitting in their homes. So I'll give you a few examples, and I'll mention this gentleman's name. I don't think he'll have a problem with it, hopefully. So David heard me on the Practical Wealth Show and became part of my team. He's my best rep. He's going to do such phenomenal things. We filed a claim for his parents. We went to his parents' house and we filed 2 claims, actually. Just damage they were living with that they had no idea. And it was a kitchen sink leak into the basement, and it was a smoke claim. And the kitchen sink, and everyone has these things happen. The kitchen sink is leaking. I got them all new cabinets, and the basement was suspended ceiling. So that claim settled for about $10,000. The second claim, the smoke claim, and this is the claim, this is why you need a public adjuster, is because nobody really knows how to test for smoke. And smoke is probably one of the highest paying claims outside of a fire. But you know if you had a fire. If you don't know that your house is on fire, you have a lot bigger issues than your house being on fire. But a lot of people are living with smoke damage and they have no idea. I have a restoration sponge. It's like a smaller size from what the remediation companies do to come clean your walls, and it pulls the smoke off your walls. So I could walk into your home, test your walls, and know you have smoke damage. Now we have to figure out where it came from and make sure that it happened, within the statute of limitations. But the smoke claim settled for about $20,000. So I walked into his, so for everyone who ever gets invited to a pitch meeting or, hey, I have to come do this. I spent maybe 2 hours at his parents' house. The parents weren't there during the adjuster appointment, and I generated $30,000. $30,000 for things that they were living with. The gentleman I was talking about, David, had really, really nice engineered floors. So on one holiday, something fell on the floor and took like a nickel-sized gouge out of the floor. You really couldn't see it unless you were looking at it, but if you look at it, you could see it. And that claim was worth $10,000.
Wow.
So people...
You really do find money, right?
I do find money.
I thought I found money for people. That's what I chose.
I do find money.
Yours, that's real money. Okay.
Yeah, those are real...
my best is $2,800 a month. Well, $2,800 a month is pretty good, but that's, those are always...
I mean, having monthly payments, but you want to pair everything. It's not like, well, which one's better? It's you have to utilize the tools in your belt. You're paying for homeowners insurance.
Right.
Just like nobody feels bad about using their health insurance. Nobody's like, well, what if the doctor beats me up? But I talk to people who have really good claims and they won't file them. And I'm just like, did Flo like... Because
they're worrying about your, I don't want my rates to go up. And
okay, I would love to tackle this fallacy.
Go ahead. All right. So, because we're in about an hour, but I might have to break it up into parts. But I got you. And I love this stuff, Go ahead.
I will go over the numbers. People are afraid of their rates going up. This is this has multiple layers. The first is that your insurance company cannot target you to raise your rates unless you have a surcharge policy. So some companies like Travelers and I think Erie will give you a table and say, this is how much your rates will go up based on you filing a claim. And you could do the math. If you're paying a $2,000 premium and it goes up 1%, I wasn't trying to back myself into a math problem.
Right.
Like $200, like if your rates go up $200 a month and you lose and that's only for the surcharge policy.
Well, 1% of 2,000 is $20.
Oh, okay. All right. That's why
12 is $240. Is that
right.
for the
So
year?
people live and die by that fear that their policy will go up by $20, and it's really a year. But even if it was $20 a month, I would never file a claim that would get you back $200 or $300. I'm always looking in the thousands. Like I see a claim as $5,000 and above. So when I look at a claim, I'm trying to get you back $5,000. So it's $5,000 more or less, even if your rates went up by $300 or $400. Is that value of the claim, the $5,000, more than the $400? And these implementations only last for 3 years. That's how long the average claim stays on your rating.
On your rating,
how they rate you. The worst, but what would usually happen would be they take away your claim-free discount. So you look on your policy and you see what you're saving, $150, $200, $300, and that again only lasts 3 years. So if you do the math and they do take away your claim-free discount and they also raise your rates, so you lose your discount and you raise your rates, that is still less than the value of your claim. And also, when you are filing a claim and you're renovating your house, you get $5,000 to fix up your house, you're increasing the value of your home.
I got two thoughts. One is the real estate investor, because that's a lot of people are listening to my show are real estate investors and stuff. And they might, so if you've got 5 properties or 10 properties or whatever, these are, I just had a person in one of their turnkeys have the tenant do something to the pipes or something like that. And
like pour concrete in the toilet or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was, I'm trying to think of it, because that sounds crazy enough, but I think that was it. And and then would the same thing go for if you owned a commercial property in terms of the same type of policies that cover that? Speak to those for a second, because I think there's
definitely. So, I mean, I never file a claim without reading someone's policy. That's why I like it when people send me their policies, especially if you have a landlord's policy. Some companies exclude damage by your tenant. So I found this out the hard way. Well, the person had already filed the police report and said that it was the tenant. So there wasn't really much that I could do along that front. Mm-hmm. But there's what you know and what you could prove. Can you prove your tenant did that? And the answer you want to say is no, because vandalism is covered under all policies. Tenant vandalism is excluded by certain landlord policies. So you would not want to disclose that you know that the tenant did it. How do you know someone didn't break into your house and pour concrete down your toilet? So in those cases, that is when you absolutely need someone to read your policy from cover to cover before you even make that call. Because just that phrasing cost this. Now, in this case, it was like $30,000 worth of damage. This tenant had like a party. They were punching holes and breaking every light socket, and just, it was a crazy claim. And the adjuster pulled me aside and said, you know that there's an exclusion for tenant vandalism. And I was like, no, obviously I wouldn't have sat here and wrote a $30,000 estimate if I thought it wouldn't have been covered. So that is why you need to send me your policies so I can read them and point beforehand.
Out. So I've got clients that buy turnkeys in other states, Memphis, Birmingham, but they own the property. So really I should have them get me their policies to send you.
Yes,
or because and you're listening to this and you buy turnkeys, you should review that.
Everyone needs their policy reviewed. Most investors are buying their insurance policy based on price to make the numbers work. And if you don't have proper insurance, your numbers did not work. They don't work. If you cannot afford to properly insure yourself with a good company with a good rating of paying out claims, one, you're flushing money down the toilet because there's very few things that you would be able to recover from.
Right.
And then with commercial policy,
because you're not protecting your asset that
you're not protecting your asset.
So just to put this out there, right? Sabrina is a real estate investor. Okay.
I do invest in real estate.
Right. So and like I said, what do rich people do, or people that aspire to be rich? They build businesses and they buy real estate, and they focus on velocity and they invest with insurance.
Exactly. But if you can make all the right purchases, you can have great strategy and be doing very well and be wiped out fairly quickly. Like, okay, a great example. Your area, you just saw the mass flooding in Upper Darby and some of those areas in Delaware County who had never had 6 feet of water. And now all of a sudden the water is up to their first floor.
Right.
Less than 1% of those people have flood insurance. So if you own like a whole block full of rentals, you're now responsible for you either have to kick everyone out and you don't have any cash flow, or you have to come out of your pocket per property to gut and remediate the basement. Even if you don't refinish it, you have to put all this stuff back. You can't rent out a property with mold growing. So now you have that block of properties that seemed like such a genius idea and you were making such excellent cash flow. And now it's your liability. Now it's taking your cash. Now it's taking your savings. Now the value has gone down. So that's a very real life example that I think a lot of people will have seen either as a homeowner. And people will say, I've never had flood insurance. We've never flooded before. Unless you live high on a hill and you are very confident that no water could pond and accumulate. And even then I would still I live at the top of the hill and I'm still I'm still looking at how would I be at risk for a flood? Should I buy this flood insurance, even though I'm not in a flood zone? Right. Even though nobody's saying you have to buy flood insurance, should I make this purchase? Should I invest my money so that if this happens, I would be able to refinish my basement and my first floor? And most people would say, no, it never happened. If it happens, I'll cross that bridge. And a lot of people are crossing that bridge right now. And I see the posts on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the risk. I mean, insurance is there to indemnify you, which is make you whole. Sometimes, I don't even go down this rabbit hole right now. What we're going to do, guys, because we're going to continue this. So in our group that we're forming, we're going to do lives within the Facebook group that we're creating for our Money for Life membership program. And because the specifics that she's getting into, we could just we're going to do an hour just on this, right? Because I think this is stuff that you got to know that's important. And so, you got to have offense, you got to save, you got to invest, but defense wins championships. So you've got to have, you got a protection. So we teach principle 2 in our 5 principles of personal finance of maximum protection. So you have to ensure if the thing that you thought that you were worried about happening, if you knew for sure that was going to happen tomorrow, you could buy insurance today. How much coverage would you want? Obviously, you want the maximum. That's how you have to buy it.
Right, exactly.
From the door. Sabrina, we got to...
I know, and for all you commercial real estate investors, I didn't even get into the co-insurance penalty, but what you don't know will cost you, and I'm not saying you have to know everything, but I'm saying if you're not using your resources, if I'm saying email me your policies and I'll read it for free and review it, less than 1% of people say.
I have to do that. Listen, I want her to charge y'all. So, she's lucky. She'll read it for free. And, but listen, so guys, Sabrina, give them your info one more time. Or did you give it? I don't know if you gave it. So give them your info. We got to wind down. We got to continue this. I got to figure out how to edit this down. This is over an hour and a half. It's so gold,
Right.
Tell them how to get in touch with you, because y'all need.
You can email me your policies, or you can email me your deck pages and photos. So your insurance policy. There's the thick policy that you might have been sent once. You need to set up the online insurance account and get that policy. Most people do not. That's the contract. That's what dictates it. The declaration page is specific to you and your coverage amounts. You'll never be able to get more than your limits of liability. But the contract dictates how they'll pay. That's where they hide their exclusions. You might think you have coverage for plumbing, but then they excluded it somewhere in the policy. Both should be reviewed. I'm happy to get a deck page so I can Google map your house and kind of run an analysis and say, oh, you're underinsured, or oh, you're grossly overinsured. But both will give you the most comprehensive analysis. You can email your policies, and if you have a claim or you have some damage that you're curious about whether to find a claim, you could always email me the pictures without me even having to come out, and I can say, you know what, I need more, I will come out, or that just pay for that. That's not really going to amount to anything.
All right, give me your email.
That email is Sabrina, Sabrina, at pledgeadjusting.com. The name of my company is Pledge Adjusting Services. The acronym stands for something really, really cool, but I really need to be looking at it to remember it. It's about promoting team wealth through teams, and but I can't remember what it stands for right now. Or you can call me at 267-600-8253. That's the Pledge phone number. I just got my 800 number, so I'm so excited about that.
Okay, good.
Again, I don't know that number. And then my other direct number would be 267-679-9005. That's the number I've had for 15 years. So I'll be available for both. If you have a question or you want me to review something, please don't file claims without running it by me. Even if you don't use my services, I would prefer you would send me a picture and say, is this a claim? And I'll say, can you send me your deck page? I need to see your deductible.
Right.
I need to know if it's covered or not. Sometimes I'm telling you don't file the claim because you have no coverage. They're not going to pay it anyway. And sometimes I'm telling you not to file a claim because it's too small in dollar amount and it would not be worth it to you. So please get an expert opinion before you call your insurance company. They are not a sounding board. They are recording everything you say. If you say, oh, such and such happened, there will be a note in your file that said that. And if you ever tried to file a claim, even if it was a whole different claim, even if you made that repair, they will go back and say, well, you had this happen before. And you say, oh, but I made the repair. Prove that you made the repair.
Wow. Yes. They're not your friend. So you need representation.
Flo never shows up to appointments. I've never met her once. So.
Right. Or the caveman or the
Right. Any of those cute characters you fell in love with, the black guy with the deep voice, none of them are going to be on your claim appointments as your advocate.
Right.
You have to hire your own advocate.
Wow. So Sabrina, we could talk for 2 hours. So
I know we could keep going.
Right, I know. Listen, I know, but the cliffhanger is call her. She is part of our inner circle. So, as we work through, we will do, actually we're recording as we talk the Practical Wealth Challenge. And part of that, you'll get a game plan where we go over all your stuff. So you'll have a bulletproof financial plan, a bulletproof, what I call personal economy. And that can thrive in good times and bad. So this is, you definitely want somebody or her team in your corner and or in one of your friends' corner. So if you think about this, let me know. If you're one of my clients, you listen to this, let me know how the person that we're talking about, he called me about something with regards to his banking policy we set up. And he told me what happened. I says, oh, I guess somebody you need to call. Before you call anybody, call her. And so I try to solve problems. So call me. I'm like the financial quarterback of your team.
You're doing the right direction.
Right. I'm the general practice physician. I'm going to send you to a specialist.
You want to have a specialist.
Yeah, you want to have a specialist. And you don't get a foot doctor to perform heart surgery. So, and listen, guys, This is a information-packed episode. So what you've heard is from an entrepreneur transitioning from entrepreneurship to running her own deal, and that has its own set of stuff. So hopefully you got some lessons out of that if you're thinking about it, or the work or the personal development that needs to get done. And I'm gonna have a round robin with just on marketing, because we have, with some people I know, and just I want y'all to hear that it's not bright lights and glamour, but it's focus, it's work, and then professionally. What you've heard is that she is an expert, that she can solve your problems and get you some money. And when you get that money, come back and see me.
Exactly.
Right. So anyway, guys, have a great day. And thanks again for listening to another great episode of the Practical Wealth Show, Sabrina.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Practical Wealth. To access the show notes and resources, go to practicalwealthshow.com. To get your questions on the show, go to practicalwealthshow.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any investment decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Practical Wealth. Written permission must be granted